Chapter 1530. Han-Zun frowned and pondered for a while before he nodded. All right, let's do that. With that, Han-Zun's gaze turned serious as he scanned the disciples of Divine Dragon Valley. Everyone has to listen to my arrangements for the next round. If anyone dares to make decisions on their own like you did, they will be punished according to the sect rules. Don't blame me for being merciless. Yes, senior brother. Many people nodded their heads in agreement. Senior brother, what is your plan? Why don't you tell us? Yin Cheng said coldly. You will know when the time comes. Now, all you have to do is listen to my arrangement. Han-Zun's gaze swept across the Silver City with a trace of coldness. Yin Cheng's face darkened and he did not say anything. After He lost, he did not return to the platform. Instead, he went to the spectator stand behind the platform and the competition continued. Platform number 11, number 12 and number 13. When the Demon Castle Challenge on platform number 13 ended, the first round of the competition officially ended. In the first round, the true experts did not participate. Most of them were not very strong. Only Divine Dragon Valley was targeted by the three major sects and suffered heavy losses. After one round, they lost 4 people. As for Heavenly God Sect and Life and Death Sword faction, no one challenged them. Currently, Heavenly God Sect seemed to be the number 1 sect in Kang State. They were so powerful that the other sects were wary of them. Although Life and Death Sword faction had fewer people, their individual strength was shocking. Every disciple of Life and Death Sword faction was not to be underestimated. Moreover, the Life and Death Sword skill of the Life and Death Sword sect required a life and death battle to be fought. It was a killing technique that everyone feared. After the first round, a few sects did not suffer any losses. For example, Heavenly God Sect, Sky Demonic Sect, Poison Desire Sect and Life and Death Sword faction. After the first round, it was time for the second round. In the second round, Heavenly God Sect sent someone to challenge Divine Dragon Valley. Without a doubt, Heavenly God Sect sent out another expert to challenge a weaker disciple of Divine Dragon Valley. He killed the disciple of Divine Dragon Valley on the platform. Then, Sky Demonic Sect did the same and killed another disciple of Divine Dragon Valley. When it was Poison Desire Sect's turn, they killed another disciple of Divine Dragon Valley. The atmosphere in Divine Dragon Valley was getting more and more tense. Looks like Dragon God Valley is going to be the first to be eliminated. That's right. And many of them will be killed. Many of the geniuses in this batch will die. What a great loss. The members of the other sects and clans all shook their heads and sighed. The challenges continued, and soon, it was Dragon God Valley's turn. Wang Fei, it's your turn. Don't challenge the Celestial Divinity Sect, the Empyrean Demon Sect, or the Poison Sect. You can choose from the other sects. Han-Zun pointed at a young man. Wang Fei. Everyone from the Dragon God Valley looked at Han-Zun in surprise. Now, wasn't it their turn to counterattack? Shouldn't they send out an expert to kill someone from the Heavenly Divinity Sect? Why did they send out Wang Fei? Wang Fei was only a 4th-layer martial emperor. He was considered the weakest among the remaining people of the Divine Dragon Valley. Moreover, he wasn't allowed to challenge the 3 great sects of the Heavenly Divinity Sect. The others were astonished. Wang Fei himself was also stunned. Go. Han-Zun spoke again. Roger. Wang Fei nodded and flew up to the fighting ring. He chose a disciple of the Intentionless Saber sect whose cultivation was similar to his. The two fought fiercely. After exchanging more than 100 blows, Wang Fei was knocked out of the ring. Dragon God Valley. What's the meaning of this? I don't understand. It's finally their turn. Instead of sending out an expert to counterattack, they sent out a weakling to challenge the other sects. I really don't understand what the Dragon God Valley is trying to do. It's simple. The Dragon God Valley is forced to give up the chance to counterattack to protect their weaker disciples. Otherwise, they would be killed by the 3 great sect. That's right. Many people discussed among themselves. They finally understood the Dragon God Valley's decision. With this, they could at least protect some of their disciples. Humph, how sad. Let's eliminate the Dragon God Valley first. They won't even be able to take part in the treasure pedestal. The leader of the Heavenly Divinity sect said with a hollow laugh. Haha, that's right. I heard that the Dragon God Valley is well prepared to come first in the treasure pedestal. I wonder what would happen if they couldn't even take part in the treasure pedestal. The geniuses of the Heavenly Divinity sect who were rank 7 Martial Royal Realm and above laughed mockingly. Some of the geniuses of the Heavenly Divinity sect who were rank 7 Martial Royal Realm and above looked gloomy. Lu Ming was the only one who looked calm on the 10th platform. Just wait, the counterattack will begin soon, Lu Ming muttered to himself. The competition continued. Soon, the second round came to an end. The Dragon God Valley was still the most miserable sect. 3 of them were killed and 1 was defeated. After 2 rounds, 6 of them were killed and 2 of them were defeated. Only 28 out of 36 were left. The third round began. Just like the previous round, the Heavenly Divinity sect, Empyrean Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect sent out their experts to challenge the weaklings of the Dragon God Valley. They had come prepared. Although the young man of the Dragon God Valley rushed down the fighting stage as soon as he attacked, the opponents sent out were much stronger than him. They managed to kill another 3 of the Dragon God Valley's disciples. When it was the Dragon God Valley's turn, Han Zun sent out a weak disciple to challenge the other sects. He was defeated but managed to survive. Soon, the third round ended. 9 of the Dragon God Valley's disciples were killed and 3 were defeated. A total of 12 people were eliminated. At this point, the young men of the rank 4 Martial Royal Realm had either died or been defeated. Only Lu Ming was still a rank 4 Martial Royal Realm cultivator. Everyone in the Dragon God Valley looked gloomy and the atmosphere was heavy. Ah, damn it, Han Zun, why didn't we send out our experts to fight back? Send me in the next round. I want to kill these sons of bitches. Tian Chue waved his big hammer and roared angrily. He was extremely anxious. Lu Ming and Han Zun looked cold and did not say anything. Xue Ningxin glanced at Lu Ming, deep in thought. Then, the fourth round began. It was the Heavenly Divinity sect's turn again. Whoosh! A figure jumped onto the fighting stage on the first platform. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from his body. Rank 6 Martial Royal Realm. The Heavenly Divinity sect started to send out rank 6 Martial Royal Realm cultivators because the remaining people in the Dragon God Valley were all rank 5 Martial Royal Realm cultivators and above. The person looked arrogant and looked at Lu Ming. In the end, he said with a cold smile, Lu Ming, get down here and accept your death. He wants to challenge me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming, kill him. Kill this bastard. Tian Chue shouted. Don't worry, Lu Ming said. He stepped out and appeared on the fighting stage. Lu Ming, how dare you kill the people of the Heavenly Divinity sect again and again? Chapter 1531. Soon, there will be one more member of the Heavenly God sect dying in my hand. Lu Ming said coldly. Haha, ridiculous. Lu Ming, I know your strength is impressive, but it's mostly due to your sacred weapon. Now that you can't use your sacred weapon, how strong can your strength be? I'm a 6th layer martial dominator, killing you will be a piece of cake. The young man of the Heavenly God sect burst out laughing. His aura grew stronger and more shocking. Without a doubt, this young man of the Heavenly God sect was a powerful genius. He had cultivated a mid-tier earthly spiritual body, which was extremely powerful. Among the geniuses of the Heavenly God sect, his talent was comparable to Shi Tian's. With his strength, he could easily defeat someone with a higher cultivation. Furthermore, Lu Ming was only a 4th layer martial dominator. He was confident that he could kill Lu Ming without using his sacred weapon. Nonsense, come on, use your full strength, Lu Ming said calmly. Since you're so eager to die, I'll send you on your way. Die. The genius of the Heavenly God sect emitted a brilliant sacred glow as a godly retribution spear appeared in his hand. The godly retribution spear penetrated the rift and stabbed toward Lu Ming. Its terrifying sharpness whistled in the heavens and earth, as if it could penetrate everything in the world. The genius of the Celestial God sect used his killer move right away. He wanted to kill Lu Ming in one move. Roar. The cry of a dragon could be heard coming from Lu Ming's body. Following this, the chaotic domain wrapped around Lu Ming's fist as he threw out a punch. The hell-suppressing heaven skill was unleashed. The punch was aimed at the godly retribution spear. You dare to use your fist against my godly retribution spear? Die. The genius of the heavenly god sect snapped. The people of the heavenly god sect on the platform and the spectators stand smirked coldly. However, their smirks stiffened at the next moment. Bang! Lu Ming's fist blasted the divine punishment spear. The divine punishment spear exploded instantly. Lu Ming's fist blasted toward the other party as if it was crushing dry weeds and rotten wood. No, no, the young man's eyes widened as he screamed in his heart. He had thought he could kill Lu Ming's attack with a single blow. He did not even set up a defense, but it was too late. Bang! Lu Ming's fist collided with the young man's body. The young man's body instantly exploded into pieces. He was dead. The genius of the Celestial Divine Sect, a 6th-level martial emperor expert, had been killed by Lu Ming with one punch. Trash's a piece of trash. He stretched out his hand and sucked the storage ring of the Celestial God Sect's genius into his hand. Kills is s. Tien's SSS kills SSSS his mind's is. Sect SS sect's hands sect tus their s mind s heart. Mind s God. Of the God. Of the God s tus bis. SS God's mind. Damn it, it's Lu Ming again. Many people from the heavenly God sect were enraged. Leave Lu Ming to me. I want him to die a horrible death. Liu Quan was careless just now. Leave Lu Ming to me. The other geniuses from the heavenly God sect shouted angrily. All right, I'll be waiting. Come and challenge me then. Lu Ming looked at the heavenly God sect coldly. Then, he glanced at the Sky Demon sect and the Poison sect. Dragon God Valley's counterattack will begin soon. Lu Ming's body flashed and he returned to the fighting ring. Let's continue. The leader of the heavenly God sect shouted as he looked at the Sky Demon sect. Don't worry, the Dragon God Valley's end is already decided. The leader of the Sky Demon sect sneered. He then sent out an expert to challenge a rank 5 Martial King from the Dragon God Valley. The rank 5 Martial King from the Dragon God Valley was also very strong. He tried his best to rush down the fighting ring, but he was almost killed at the edge of the fighting ring. Then, it was the Poison sect's turn. Another person from the Dragon God Valley was killed. The Life and Death Sword sect issued a challenge on the 8th fighting ring. Until now, the Life and Death Sword sect had not lost a single person. Whoosh! Sword radiance flashed and a figure appeared on the fighting ring. This person was Luo Xiong, whom Lu Ming had met in the Kang Emperor's secret territory. Luo Xiong looked around and his gaze landed on a rank 6 Martial King on the Heavenly God Sect's fighting ring. He said, "You, fight with me." Many people were surprised. The Life and Death Sword sect was challenging the Heavenly God Sect. The Heavenly God Sect's genius who was being challenged looked gloomy as he stepped onto the fighting ring. He looked at Luo Xiong and said, "Make your move. Make your move first. Otherwise, you won't have a chance." Luo Xiong said coldly. "How arrogant. Let's see what you've got." The Heavenly God Sect's genius shouted. A divine retribution spear appeared and stabbed towards Luo Xiong. Clang! A sword radiance flashed from Luo Xiong's hand. It was too fast. Almost no one could see how Luo Xiong had attacked. The sword radiance flashed across the sky. In the next moment, Luo Xiong's sword returned to its sheath. The Heavenly God Sect's genius opened his eyes wide and stared at Luo Xiong unwillingly. Then, his body was split into two. Dead. A rank 6 Martial King of the Heavenly God Sect had been killed by Luo Xiong with a single slash. How powerful. Is this the Life and Death Sword sect's sword technique? It's too terrifying. Luo Xiong is only a rank 5 Martial King, many people exclaimed. More people felt a chill run down their spines. How could they dodge such a slash? This Luo Xiong is indeed not simple. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with amazement. He had heard that Luo Xiong was a peak martial saint and had been cultivating his sword soul for 15 years. Such a person was extremely terrifying. Now that Luo Xiong had broken through and obtained the Sword Dao inheritance in the Emperor's secret territory, he had truly soared. In a short period of time, his cultivation had skyrocketed and he had reached rank 5 Martial King. Moreover, he had killed a genius of the Heavenly God sect with a single slash. Such a person would become more terrifying the longer he had broken through to the Martial King realm. Back in the Emperor Kang's secret territory, Luo Xiong had just broken through to the Martial King realm and his potential had not been fully unleashed. Now, he was truly terrifying. Luo Xiong, our Heavenly God sect has not offended your life and death sword sect. Why did you kill our people? The leader of the Heavenly God sect asked coldly. It's simple. I don't like you, Luo Xiong said indifferently. Then, he stepped out and returned to the Life and Death Sword sect's platform. Good job, good job. I'm starting to like this Luo Xiong. Tian Chue grinned. The competition continued. When it was Dragon God Valley's turn, Han Zun sent out the person with the lowest cultivation level to challenge the other sect's geniuses. The person was defeated. Soon, the 4th round was over. In this round, Dragon God Valley had lost 2 people, lost 1, and won 1. There were still 21 people left. However, up until now, those who remained in Dragon God Valley were getting stronger and stronger. Chapter 1532. From the 5th round onwards, the survival rate of the Dragon God Valley increased. Although the Heavenly God sect, Empyrean Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect continued to send out their experts to challenge the weaker members of the Dragon God Valley, it became more difficult to kill them. In the 5th round, one person managed to escape from the fighting stage, saving his life. The other 2 had almost escaped from the fighting stage, but they were killed in the end. In this round, the Dragon God Valley had lost 2 and lost 2. There were 17 people left. No one challenged Lu Ming in this round. It seemed that they were not confident and wanted to wait until the end of the round. In the 6th round, the Divine Dragon Valley lost again, but they managed to keep their lives. Although the Divine Celestial sect and the other 2 sects wanted to kill the Divine Dragon Valley's people, they were all pushed off the battle stage. The atmosphere in the Dragon God Valley finally became better. After this round, there were 13 people left in the Dragon God Valley. Other than the Life and Death Sword faction, the Dragon God Valley had the least number of people left. This was only the 6th round, and most of the other sects still had around 30 people left. Some of the smaller sects had around 20 people left, while others had close to 30. The Heavenly God sect and Empyrean Demon sect had around 30 people left. Then, 2 more rounds passed. There were only 5 people left in the Dragon God Valley. They were Lu Ming, Han Zun, Tian Chue, Xuanixin, and Ziyu. After so many rounds, no one had challenged Tian Chue and Xuanixin. In the battle 10 days ago, Tian Chue and Xuanixin had displayed their terrifying battle prowess. To be able to fight against Mo He, Wu Qianju, and other geniuses, their battle prowess was incomparably strong. It was normal that they had not been challenged before. At this point, the 8th round had passed. From the 9th round onwards, the Heavenly God sect's faces started to turn sour. The remaining 5 people from the Dragon God Valley were not weak. They did not know who to challenge. I'll go and kill Lu Ming. A young man in the 6th layer of the Martial Royal Realm stepped out and flew onto the fighting stage. Lu Ming, come out. The young man in the peak 6th layer of the Martial Royal Realm condensed a spear of divine punishment and pointed it at Lu Ming. That's what I want. Lu Ming smiled coldly. He took a step forward and landed on the fighting ring. Buzz. Buzz. Wang. The Heavenly God sect's genius emitted a light screen from his body. Even the armor of an emperor spiritual weapon appeared. Evidently, that person had learned his lesson. From the very start, he had set up layers of defenses around himself. He's much more careful now, but he's still going to die. Lu Ming said. Shameless boasting. You're the one who's going to die. Kill. The Heavenly Divinity sect's genius shouted. He took a step forward and turned into a ray of sacred light, rushing towards Lu Ming. Whoosh. The spear of divine retribution streaked across the void, emitting a terrifying whistling sound. Boom. Lu Ming punched out, colliding with the spear of divine punishment. With a loud explosion, Lu Ming remained motionless, while the other party retreated several steps. Your combat strength is just SOSO. Lu Ming smiled faintly. I'm not done yet. The other party snapped furiously as a milky white book flew out from his forehead. The book was an emperor spiritual weapon. The book flipped open, emitting rays of white light that landed on the figure of the heavenly divinity sect's genius. His aura became stronger. A long spear appeared in his hand, which was milky white in color. He lashed out with the spear, which was stronger than before. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming threw out a few punches in succession. Terrifying fist intense swept across the void, aiming at his opponent. His opponent kept lashing out with his spear, which transformed into terrifying spears of divine punishment that collided with Lu Ming's fist intense. Terrifying explosions took place on the fighting stage. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 10 blows. That Lu Ming's strength is incredible. He's only a peak 4th layer martial dominator realm cultivator, yet he's able to fight against a peak 6th layer martial dominator realm genius. It's indeed terrifying, but Lu Ming's cultivation is 2 layers lower than his. I'm sure he's going to lose. Not necessarily. The person from the heavenly divinity sect only has a middle tier earthly astral body, while Lu Ming has a superior tier earthly astral body. The crowd discussed among themselves. Die, die. The strength of the genius from the heavenly divinity sect became even more ferocious as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Is this your limit? Let's end this then, Lu Ming said in a cold tone. Boom. It was as if Lu Ming's fist intent could penetrate the void, shattering the spears of divine punishment that the genius from the heavenly divinity sect had thrown out. Bang. Then, Lu Ming took a step forward and threw a punch that destroyed everything. He landed a heavy blow on the other party's chest. The force surged and broke through several layers of the other party's defense, bombarding the other party's armor. The armor vibrated as the genius from the heavenly divinity sect was sent flying. He slid on the fighting ring for a long distance and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming had not used his full strength just now. Now, Lu Ming unleashed his full strength. Although his opponent's cultivation was 2 layers higher than his, Lu Ming's astral body and chaotic domain were much stronger than his opponent's astral body and chaotic domain. He was able to make up for the difference between their cultivation levels. The genius from the heavenly divinity sect was furious. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so powerful. Die. Lu Ming took a step forward and closed in on his opponent. I have an emperor spiritual weapon to protect me. You can't kill me. The genius from the heavenly divinity sect roared and retreated quickly. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered as an emperor spiritual weapon spear appeared in his hand. Swoosh. The long spear pierced towards his opponent. 13th strike. The terrifying spear radiance shattered his opponent's counterattack and pierced his armor. It's useless, his opponent shouted. However, in the next moment, his face changed drastically and became filled with fear. At the tip of Lu Ming's long spear, 13 layers of attack power were instantly stacked and erupting with terrifying penetrating power. Puff. The terrifying penetrative power directly pierced through the other party's spiritual emperor armor. The long spear pierced through the other party's heart. Buzz. Then, the long spear vibrated and the land of destruction exploded. His opponent's spiritual deity disappeared before he could escape. The genius from the heavenly divinity sect was dead. Hiss, gasps could be heard from the crowd. A genius who had cultivated a medium earth spiritual body and was at the peak of the 6th layer martial royal realm was killed by Lu Ming. The genius from the heavenly divinity sect wanted to kill Lu Ming, but he was killed by Lu Ming again. This level of prodigy was considered the pinnacle of existence among all the participants of the treasure peddling meeting, except for the prodigies who had cultivated the superior earth spiritual body. However, a superior earth spiritual body was extremely rare. There were not many of them in the entire Tsangzhou. Of the 13 top sects in the treasure sorting meeting, each sect had at most 1 or 2 superior earth spiritual bodies. Some sects did not even have one. It could be said that Lu Ming's combat strength was one of the top geniuses in the treasure sorting meeting. Chapter 1533. Good job. Tian Chui yelled excitedly. So did the people from Dragon God Valley. The Celestial Divinity Sect had lost 3 level 6 martial royal realm geniuses. Lu Ming had killed 2 and Luo Xiong had killed 1. Damn it. Lu Ming deserves to die. Someone from the Celestial Divinity Sect shouted angrily. There weren't many geniuses with medium earth spiritual bodies in the Celestial Divinity Sect. Now that Lu Ming had killed several of them, it was a great loss. Lu Ming put away his spoils and returned to the platform. Next, it was the Sky Demon Sect's turn. I'll go. Someone from the Sky Demon Sect stepped forward. It's him, Mohi. Mohi is going to fight personally. Who will he challenge? Many people were shocked. Mohi was a top genius in the Sky Demon Sect. He had a high earth spiritual body and was at the peak of level 6 martial royal realm. He had a high chance of becoming one of the top 10 geniuses in the Kang Prefecture. The top 10 geniuses of the Kang Prefecture all had high earth spiritual bodies. In theory, anyone who cultivated a high earth spiritual body would have a chance of becoming one of the top 10 geniuses. Of course, it was just a chance. Even if one had a high earth spiritual body and had the same cultivation, there would be differences in combat strength. For example, the strength of one's domain martial technique, one's combat strength, and various secret techniques would determine one's combat strength. Mohi's gaze landed on the 5 people from the Divine Dragon Valley. His gaze swept across them before finally landing on Ziyu. I knew he would challenge me, Ziyu said with a smile. Ziyu, if you can't beat him, get off the platform and save your life, Han Zun warned. Although Ziyu's combat strength was strong, he didn't have a high earth spiritual body and was no match for Mohi. I know. Don't worry. Ziyu stepped onto the platform. Without further ado, the battle began. Ziyu was a genius from Purple Dragon Valley. He cultivated the Purple Dragon Battle Body, which was a medium earth spiritual body. His domain had reached the peak of level 7 and his domain martial technique had reached the peak. His combat strength was astonishing. Although Ziyu's spiritual body was inferior to Mohi's spiritual body, the difference in their combat strength was not too great. It was impossible for Mohi to kill Ziyu in a short period of time. The two exchanged close to 100 moves before Ziyu lost and was blasted off the battle stage. Ziyu had failed. There were only 4 people left in the Dragon God Valley. The challenges continued, and soon, it was the Desire Poison Sect's turn. The leader of the Desire Poison Sect looked at the 4 from the Dragon God Valley and hesitated. None of the remaining 4 from Dragon God Valley were simple. If they wanted to send someone to fight, they could only send someone with an earthly spiritual body, a peak 6th layer martial emperor realm cultivator. Moreover, they wouldn't be able to kill Lu Ming and the others. Even if they could defeat one of Lu Ming's group, they would be injured, which would be disadvantageous for them in the following battles. In the end, the Desire Poison Sect sent out a weakling. For the first time, they didn't challenge the Dragon God Valley but another sect. The Heavenly God Sect's leader's face darkened. However, he knew that the Heavenly God Sect, the Sky Universe Demon Sect and the Desire Poison Sect had teamed up to deal with the Dragon God Valley. However, the 3 sects all wanted the final victory. If they sent out their best geniuses now, both sides would be injured and it would be disadvantageous for them in the following battles. After the Desire Poison Sect, the 9 Heaven Sword Sect sent someone to fight. Soon, it was the Dragon God Valley's turn. A cold killing intent flashed in Han Zun's eyes as he said, "Now, let's start the counterattack. Tian Chui, you go." "Good, haha, it's finally my turn." Tian Chui laughed. He was about to explode from holding back. Now, it was finally his turn. Boom. Tian Chui landed on the battle stage and his eyes fell on a young man from the Heavenly God Sect. He shouted, "You, come down and die. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The young man from the Heavenly God Sect jumped onto the battle stage and attacked Tian Chui. "Go to hell!" Tian Chui roared. He was like a mad dragon as he swung his giant hammer at his opponent, ignoring his opponent's attack and defense. Boom. The young man from the Heavenly God Sect screamed in pain as he was smashed into a pile of meat by Tian Chui's hammer. "Die, die!" Skyhammer roared. His huge hammer danced in the air, causing the void to rumble. His eyes were filled with malevolent killing intent. Good kill. The disciples of the Dragon God Valley cheered happily. Han Zun and Lu Ming revealed a cold smile on their faces. The Dragon God Valley's counterattack was finally going to start. This was Lu Ming's plan. First, protect the people, then counterattack. This was to preserve the lives of the Dragon God Valley's disciples and leave the strongest one alive. At the beginning, many people were killed. They had no choice but to do so. If they didn't do so, the weaker disciples would all die. Saving the counterattack for the last was the only way to preserve the lives of the Dragon God Valley's disciples. The disciples of the Heavenly God sect gritted their teeth in anger. The people from the other sects were deep in thought. They seemed to have thought of something. Skyhammer returned to the platform. After that, another 3 matches were held. This round ended, and the 10th round began. It was the Heavenly God sect's turn to challenge again. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on the Heavenly God sect. How would the Heavenly God sect fight? Would they continue to challenge the Dragon God Valley? Who would they send? At this moment, the leader of the Heavenly God sect looked gloomy and hesitant. He was in a difficult situation. The remaining 4 from the Dragon God Valley had terrifying combat strength. If he were to send someone to challenge them, he would definitely send the strongest Sky Prides. Sending the others would only be sending them to their deaths. Moreover, it wouldn't be easy to defeat Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and the others. Even if they could win, they would definitely be injured and their combat strength would be greatly reduced. If the Heavenly God sect's strongest cultivators were injured, the other sect's strongest cultivators would definitely not let go of this opportunity. They would challenge the Heavenly God sect's strongest cultivators. In this way, the Heavenly God sect's strongest cultivators would probably be eliminated. Without their strongest cultivators, the Heavenly God sect might not even be able to enter the top 10. The Heavenly God sect was now in a passive position. The Sky Prides of the other sects had obviously thought of this and were looking forward to it. How could this be? The leader of the Heavenly God sect clenched his fists tightly. Similarly, the leaders of the Sky Universe Demon sect and Desire Poison sect felt the same. Hey, are you guys going to challenge them or not? Don't dawdle and waste other people's time, Lu Ming said calmly as if he was waiting for the Heavenly God sect's challenge. Lu Ming, many disciples of the Heavenly God sect gritted their teeth and glared at Lu Ming. However, they definitely wouldn't dare to challenge Lu Ming. They would only be courting death. Brother Wu, Brother Demon. At this moment, the leader of the Heavenly God sect sent a message to the leaders of the Sky Universe Demon sect and Desire Poison sect. How about this? Let's put the Dragon God Valley aside and eliminate the weakest sects first. Then, we'll gather our strength to deal with the Dragon God Valley. What do you think? Alright, I agree. Chapter 1534. The leaders of the Heavenly Divinity sect, Empyrean Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect discussed and decided to eliminate the weakest sects before joining forces to deal with Lu Ming and the others from the Divine Dragon Valley. They had no choice but to do so. If they went all out to deal with Lu Ming and the rest, the other sects would most likely take advantage of them. In that case, they might not even be able to enter the top 10 and participate in this year's treasure exhibition. They could not accept that no matter what. If they eliminated the weakest sects, they would at least be able to enter the top 10 and participate in the treasure sorting meeting. They would then deal with Lu Ming and the others after they entered the top 10. That was their plan. Sure enough, the Heavenly Divinity sect sent out a LV5 Marshal Royal to challenge a LV4 Marshal Royal from the Piyuan family. The Piyuan family was one of the weakest forces. Hehe, it seems like the Heavenly Divinity sect is afraid. Why don't you dare to challenge my junior brothers from the Divine Dragon Valley? ALV7 Marshal Royal from the Divine Dragon Valley said as he looked at the Heavenly Divinity sect with disdain. They had been mocked by the Heavenly Divinity sect, saying that they would definitely not be able to participate in the treasure sorting meeting. Now, they could finally fight back. ChmpH, what's the rush? That's right. The best part is yet to come. The Heavenly Divinity Sect's LV7 Marshal Royal and above snorted. Han Zun, that's a good plan. An old voice came from a pavilion. It was the Saint Realm Elder of the Divine Dragon Valley. Elder, this plan was proposed by junior brother Lu Ming. Han Zun bowed to the pavilion and said, Millimeter, not bad. Continue to work hard. Make those sects pay a price. Otherwise, do you think that the Divine Dragon Valley is easy to bully? The Saint Realm Elder of the Divine Dragon Valley continued. Don't worry, Elder. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied, Lu Ming said with a smile. At that moment, the battle had already begun. The Heavenly Divinity Sect's genius defeated the Peyuan family's genius easily. Then, it was the Heavenly Divinity Sect's turn. They also sent out an expert to challenge the Peyuan family and defeated them easily. When it was the Desire Poison Sect's turn, they would also challenge the Peyuan family. Everyone understood that the three great sects of the Heavenly God Sect were going to join hands to eliminate the weaker sects. The Peyuan family was helpless. They couldn't even resist. This time, the Peyuan clan didn't have anyone with a spiritual body who had reached the top of the 6th Huang Qi layer. They only had one spiritual body, so the cultivators of the 4th Huang Qi layer couldn't fight back. Soon, it was Dragon God Valley's turn. This time, Xuening Xin had challenged the Heavenly God Sect to a duel, and had killed a 6th-layer martial dominator realm genius of the Heavenly God Sect, causing the crowd of the Heavenly God Sect to wear unpleasant expressions. Previously, they had hunted down the disciples of the Dragon God Valley. They were so arrogant that the Dragon God Valley could hardly retaliate. But now, the people of Dragon God Valley were hunting them down, and they couldn't fight back. They were so depressed that they wanted to die. In the 11th round, the Heavenly God Sect, Sky Universe Demon Sect, and Desire Poison Sect continued to challenge the Peyuan family. When it was Dragon God Valley's turn, it was finally Han Zun's turn. Han Zun also challenged a 6th-layer martial dominator realm genius of the Heavenly God Sect. Han Zun had a spiritual body, and his cultivation was at the peak of the 6th Huang Qi layer. He was extremely powerful, and his opponent couldn't even rush down the fighting stage. He was easily killed by Han Zun. The Heavenly God Sect could only endure. They had to endure until 3 other sects were eliminated, and then they would fight back. In the 12th round, the 3 great sects of the Heavenly God Sect continued to challenge the Peyuan clan. Because there were other sects challenging the Peyuan clan only had a few people left. They were doomed to be eliminated. This round, it was finally Lu Ming's turn. Whoosh! Lu Ming stepped forward and appeared on the fighting stage. He looked at the Heavenly God Sect. The crowd wasn't surprised at all. Dragon God Valley had come to take revenge by killing the people of the Heavenly God Sect. When Lu Ming looked at the remaining geniuses of the Heavenly God Sect, their faces changed drastically. A few of the 6th-layer martial dominators turned pale. In the end, Lu Ming's eyes fell on a white-haired young man. You, come down and die, Lu Ming said coldly. What? Lu Ming is going to challenge Bai Mo. The crowd was shocked. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. Indeed. I didn't expect that Lu Ming would challenge Bai Mo now. In recent years, there have been many geniuses in the Celestial Sect. There are many powerful people. It is said that there are 3 superior-grade Earth spirit bodies who are attending the treasure-sorting meeting. Bai Mo is one of them. That's right. Bai Mo is one of the top experts in the treasure-sorting meeting. Many people spoke excitedly. The battle between the top experts was about to begin. Junior brother Lu Ming. Han Zun's eyes lit up. Lu Ming's action was out of his expectation. He thought that Lu Ming would challenge an ordinary 6th-layer martial dominator. You want to challenge me? Bai Mo said coldly as killing intent surged from his body. That's right, Lu Ming said. Well, I wanted to kill you later. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll send you on your way first. Bai Mo said coldly. His body moved and he appeared in the fighting ring, facing Lu Ming. Is that so? The Heavenly God Sect will be heartbroken if I kill you. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. White energy cut. At this moment, Bai Mo moved. A snow-white sword gleam slashed toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Before the sword arrived, the sharp intent pierced the air and produced a whistling sound. Not everyone in the heavenly god sect practiced the divine skill. Many of them practiced other skills. Buzz. A sovereign spiritual weapon appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He shook the long spear and it turned into a spear radiance that pierced through the air. The spear radiance and the sword radiance collided and a dense force spread out in all directions. Lu Ming and Bai Mo were already engaged in a fierce battle. Bai Mo's realm was very special. It was a vast expanse of white and every ray of white radiance was a ray of sword chi. Coupled with Bai Mo's realm martial technique, its power was terrifying. The dense sword radiance pierced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the 13 strikes. His long spear was like a dragon, sweeping across the void. Each strike contained 13 rays of attack power. The endless sword radiance was destroyed by the long spear and dissipated in the air. The two figures intertwined on the fighting ring and collided with each other from time to time. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 50 blows. Divine Gate, Seal. In the process of the battle, Lu Ming used the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. Suddenly, 6 sealed doors appeared and emitted rays of light to seal Bai Mo. Bai Mo's pupils contracted and he shouted, "God Bai, sword shadow." Bai Mo's body emitted a white light like a sword. In a flash, he rushed out of the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. What a wonderful spiritual body! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 1535. He could not help but admit that the upper earthly spiritual body was extremely talented and powerful. Bai Mo's strength was absolutely shocking. With his cultivation of the peak 6th layer martial dominator realm, he could easily kill an 8th layer martial dominator realm expert. Divine White Sword Formation. Bai Mo uttered a roar as he charged out from the 9 seals of the God Gate. His eyes turned completely white as strange runes appeared in them. Buzz. In the sky, densely packed patterns suddenly appeared, like a huge white array formation. Following this, the same runes appeared under Lu Ming's feet, which looked like a giant formation. They surrounded Lu Ming from above and below. This is not a formation, but a secret technique of the spiritual body. Lu Ming was startled. Some powerful spiritual bodies were able to produce secret techniques of the spiritual body. In other words, they were brought along by the bloodline. For example, Lu Ming's devouring force was brought along by the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Even after refining the divine dragon flesh, it still retained the devouring force. Other bloodlines might also retain some powerful secret techniques after transforming into the spiritual body. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Countless sword intents were emitted from the 2 runes and fired toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no way to retreat in all directions. Wind element technique. Lu Ming's heart shuddered as a blue force from the air-frozen bead entered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming executed the wind element technique, causing his figure to turn into a breeze and float in the air. Lu Ming's figure swayed, leaving behind a string of after-images. He flashed among the infinite sword auras, avoiding the sword auras. However, there were too many sword intents. In such a narrow space, Lu Ming could not dodge them all regardless of how fast his movement was. Whoosh! A sharp sword intent pierced toward Lu Ming's chest. Lu Ming's body was covered with the primal chaos domain, resisting the sword chi. Sizzling sounds could be heard as the sword chi pierced through the primal chaos domain and stabbed into Lu Ming's chest. It wasn't that the chaotic domain wasn't strong. First, the sword chi was too terrifying. Second, Lu Ming's chaotic domain was too weak. It was only level 4. At least for Bai Mo, his level was too low, so he couldn't defend against it. If it was a level 5 chaotic domain, the sword chi would not have been able to break through its defenses. However, the primal chaos domain had greatly weakened the power of the sword chi. Roar. At that instant, a dragon's roar could be heard from Lu Ming's body as a layer of dragon scales appeared on his body. Clang. The sword chi struck the dragon scales, causing sparks to fly. The sword chi collapsed, and the dragon scales on Lu Ming's chest were slightly damaged, revealing a trace of blood. What terrifying sword chi! Lu Ming's heart stirred. Even an 8th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator would be slain by the sword intent from the two patterns. Whoosh, whoosh. More energy poured into the air-frozen pearl. Lu Ming activated the wind origin skill to the maximum and his speed increased. Lu Ming's figure was everywhere in the sky. However, Lu Ming couldn't rush out of the two patterns because the two patterns had covered the entire fighting ring. If he rushed out of the pattern, it would mean that he had rushed out of the fighting ring. In that case, Lu Ming would lose this round. If it had been any other place, Lu Ming would have rushed out long ago. Haha, Lu Ming is doomed to die under Senior Brother Bai Mo's White God Sword array. That's right. Senior Brother Bai Mo's eye technique has killed many high-level martial dominators. Once one is trapped in it, one will die unless one's cultivation is much higher than his. Ch. Lu Ming actually took the initiative to challenge Senior Brother Bai Mo. His courting death. Seeing that Lu Ming was in danger, the disciples of the Celestial Sect were in a good mood. They couldn't help but mock and ridicule him. On the other hand, Tian Chui and Xuening Xin were worried. In the fighting ring, Bai Mo's eyes had turned pure white. There were lines on his pupils that were exactly the same as the two patterns. Bai Mo stepped on the void and landed on the pattern above. His territory seemed to have merged with the pattern. Suddenly, the pattern became even more terrifying. The sword chi whistled and its speed increased greatly. Lu Ming, today is the day you die, Bai Mo said coldly. It's too early for you to be happy, Lu Ming said indifferently. At the same time, Lu Ming continued to form seals with his hands. 9 seals of the Holy Gate. A deep voice could be heard as 6 sealed doors appeared. However, this time, the sealed doors were not facing Bai Mo, but Lu Ming himself. The 6 sealed doors floated around Lu Ming and shone brightly. The sword chi that was aimed at Lu Ming was suppressed by the power of the sealed doors and stopped in the air. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Following that, Lu Ming took 9 consecutive steps. The power of the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps erupted, dispersing the sword aura below him. With the help of this force, Lu Ming's figure soared into the sky. Unknowingly, the Emperor's spiritual weapon Long Spear appeared in his hands again. He merged with the holy spiritual weapon and unleashed the 13 strikes. He shot up into the sky and attacked Bai Mo. Swoosh, swoosh. In the process of shooting up into the sky, 2 black holy swords appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. Holy Sword Skill. Holy Sword Skill was a spiritual attack. It broke through Bai Mo's pattern and rushed into Bai Mo's body. Ah! At that moment, Bai Mo screamed in pain. It was as if his soul was being torn apart. As a martial emperor's cultivation increased, his spiritual spirit would become stronger and stronger. At the same time, his soul would become stronger as well. The higher the cultivation level, the stronger the spiritual strength. Lu Ming's soul had been refined by the alchemy Calamity Bell. His spiritual strength was dozens of times stronger than a martial artist of the same level. During this period of time, he had been cultivating the Holy Sword skill and his spiritual strength had become stronger. If Lu Ming was facing a martial artist of the same level, Lu Ming would be able to destroy his soul with the Holy Sword skill. Even a genius like Bai Mo, whose cultivation level was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's, felt as if his soul was about to be torn apart. At that moment, the 2 patterns under Bai Mo's feet dimmed. Bam! Lu Ming broke through the patterns and pierced Bai Mo's body with his sharp spear. Ah! Bai Mo screamed in agony. Then, under Lu Ming's destructive power, his body and soul were destroyed. Bai Mo was dead. At that moment, there was a sudden silence around the fighting ring. Almost everyone opened their eyes wide and looked at the fighting ring in shock. Just a moment ago, Lu Ming had been completely suppressed and his life was in danger. However, in the next moment, the situation had been reversed. Lu Ming had killed Bai Mo with 1 blow. The change had happened so quickly that no one could react. Bai Mo had been killed and the patterns on the fighting ring had disappeared. Bai Mo's body fell heavily on the fighting ring and it had awakened everyone. There was an uproar at the scene. Senior Brother Bai Mo. Junior Brother Bai Mo. Ah, Lu Ming, you deserve to die. Angry shouts could be heard from the divine sect side. Bai Mo had a superior earth spiritual body. There were not many geniuses like him in the divine sect. Every one of them had the potential to become one of the top 10 geniuses in the Kang state. In the future, they would have a great chance to become a martial sage. They might even have a chance to become a supreme sage. To a sect, each of these geniuses was an immeasurable amount of wealth. Chapter 1536. On the other hand, the disciples of the Dragon God Valley were very excited. Good job. Isn't the Heavenly God sect arrogant? That's the way to kill them. Lu Ming is invincible. Many people shouted. Qiu Yingying, Qiu Hao, and the others who were close to Lu Ming were so excited that their faces turned red. Previously, many disciples of the Dragon God Valley had been killed. The disciples of the Dragon God Valley had nowhere to vent their anger and frustration. Now, they had vented all their anger. A genius with a superior earth spiritual body was more valuable than all the disciples of the Dragon God Valley combined. The Heavenly God sect had only sent 3 such geniuses to participate in the small meeting. Now, one of them had died. It was a great loss. Trash. Lu Ming said coldly in the fighting ring. He took Bai Mo's storage ring with his hand. Ah, Lu Ming, I'll kill you. You're dead. Some geniuses of the 7th layer martial royal realm and above shouted angrily in the stands. What? Disciples below the 7th layer can't do it. Do you want to fight? The disciples of the 7th layer martial royal realm and above said coldly in the stands. The disciples of the Heavenly God sect looked even more upset. Lu Ming's strength has reached this level? Zi Wuji said in the Heavenly God sect stands. He clenched his fists tightly. Beside him sat Eden and Ji Hongchen. They were all from the continent of godly ruins. A few years ago, they had competed with Lu Ming. Now, Lu Ming had completely surpassed them. The strongest among them was Eden. However, he was only a 2nd layer martial emperor at the moment. Zi Wuji and Ji Hongchen were still stuck at the peak of the 1st layer martial royal realm. Eden and Ji Hongchen had a complicated look on their faces. Zi Wuji, Ji Hongchen, after this meeting, I plan to leave the Heavenly God sect and train myself. What about you two? Eden sent a message to Zi Wuji and Ji Hongchen. The 3 of them were not on good terms in the continent of godly ruins. They were even competitors. However, after coming to the Yuan continent, the 3 of them became closer. After all, they came from the same place. You want to leave the Heavenly God sect? With your current cultivation, it's very dangerous for you to leave the sect and venture outside. Zi Wuji's face changed. Only danger is worth tempering. If I die on the road of tempering myself, I can only blame myself for not being skilled enough. But if we stay in the Heavenly Divine sect, outsiders like us won't be able to receive good training. We'll be no different from odd job workers. We'll never be able to catch up to Lu Ming. Eden seemed to have made up her mind. I'll go with you. Ji Hongchen pondered for a moment before he spoke. Zi Wuji's complexion changed for a while before he grit his teeth and said, I will continue to stay in the Heavenly God sect. All right. Eden nodded. Everyone had their own ambitions, and he would not force them. On the fighting ring, Lu Ming put away the storage ring and returned to platform number 10 in a flash. Lu Ming, well done, haha. Tian Chue laughed loudly. Xuening Xin and Han Zun also smiled. The disciples of the Celestial God sect flew down to the fighting stage and took Bai Mo's body away. The competition continued. Soon, this round ended, and a new round began. It was the Heavenly God sect's turn to challenge again. The leader of the Heavenly God sect glanced coldly at Lu Ming and the others. But in the end, he still sent people to challenge the Peyuan family. They could only endure for now. Now that they had lost a top expert, their strength was greatly reduced. They did not dare to fight with the Dragon God Valley now as they were afraid that they would not be able to enter the top 10. After the Heavenly God sect, the Heavenly Universe Demon sect and the Desire Poison sect followed in the footsteps of the Heavenly God sect to challenge the Peyuan family. When it was the Dragon God Valley's turn, Tian Chue challenged and killed a 6th rank expert. Just like that, a few rounds passed. The first sect to be eliminated was finally born. The Puyuan family was eliminated by the Heavenly God sect, the Heavenly Universe Demon sect, and the Desire Poison sect. Now, there were only 12 sects left. The competition continued. When it was Lu Ming's turn to challenge, he did not challenge the top expert of the other side this time. Instead, he chose a weaker opponent. The competition went on one round after another. The atmosphere became more and more oppressive. The faces of the Heavenly God sect became more and more unpleasant. Every round, the Dragon God Valley would kill one of their sky prides. Those who were selected to participate in the small gathering were the top sky prides. The loss of each of them would cause the Heavenly God sect heartache. But now, they were being killed one after another. When the 19th round ended, the Heavenly God sect only had 16 people left. The losses were beyond imagination. The Dragon God Valley still had 4 people left. At this time, another 2 weaker sects were eliminated. Finally, there were only 10 sects left. These 10 sects were equivalent to obtaining the right to participate in the treasure meeting. When the 20th round began, it was the Heavenly God sect's turn to challenge again. Brother Wu, Brother Mo, it's time to eliminate the Dragon God Valley, the leader of the Heavenly God sect said coldly. His voice was filled with endless coldness. Great, that's what I want. The Heavenly Universe Demon sect's Mo, his eyes were especially cold. I've been waiting for this moment. The Desire Poison sect's Wu Qiandao's eyes were even colder. Poisonous insects crawled out of his body and swam around him. Brother Wang, why don't we work together to eliminate the Dragon God Valley? The leader of the Heavenly God sect looked at the leader of the 9 Heaven Sword sect. The 9 Heaven Sword sect had a good relationship with the Heavenly God sect. On the contrary, they didn't have a good relationship with the Dragon God Valley. He wanted the 9 Heaven Sword sect to deal with Lu Ming and the others. The eyes of the 9 Heaven Sword sect's leader flickered as he looked in the direction of the Dragon God Valley. He said with a hint of fear, I won't get involved in your business. He didn't want to get involved in the conflict between the Heavenly God sect, Heavenly Universe Demon sect, Desire Poison sect and the Dragon God Valley. Moreover, the Dragon God Valley wasn't easy to deal with. The leader of the Heavenly God sect's face darkened when he heard the 9 Heaven Sword sect's rejection. Hey, are you guys going to challenge us or not? Stop wasting time. Tian Chue carried his hammer and looked at the Heavenly God sect's direction. Since you guys are in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Luonying, you're up. The leader of the Heavenly God sect said to a black-robed figure. I've been waiting for this moment. The black-robed figure said coldly, causing the hearts of many Heavenly God sect's disciples to tremble. They were well aware of how terrifying the black-robed chaos shadows was. Whoosh! A shadow flashed and Luonying appeared on the fighting stage. Many of the weaker ones didn't even see how he appeared on the fighting stage. You, come down. A pair of cold eyes stared at Tian Chue from within the black robe and said coldly. Haha, it's finally my turn. Tian Chue laughed. Tian Chue, you have to be careful. This person is one of the 3 superior earthly spiritual bodies of the Heavenly God sect. He specializes in assassination techniques. Han Zun warned with a serious expression. Don't worry. No matter what he's good at, I'll crush him with my hammer. Chapter 1537. Boom. Tian Chue, carrying a huge hammer the size of a water tank, rushed towards the battle stage like an iron tower, and landed on the battle stage, causing the entire stage to rumble. Shorty, let Grandpa Skyhammer's hammer take care of you. Skyhammer brandished his water tank-like hammer, revealing a malevolent killing intent. Die. At this moment, Luonying moved. His body was like a shadow as he suddenly appeared in front of Skyhammer. A thin and long sword stabbed towards Skyhammer's heart. Fast, accurate, and ruthless. He was like a trained assassin. Boom. Skyhammer stomped on the ground and quickly retreated. Then, he used his huge hammer to block in front of him. Clang. Luonying's sword hit Skyhammer's hammer and bounced back. Luonying used the force of the rebound to appear above Skyhammer's head. A terrifying sword light stabbed towards Skyhammer's head. Scram. Skyhammer roared and smashed his hammer towards Luonying's head. The hammer smashed down, creating a terrifying gust of wind that caused the sky to rumble. Clang! The hammer hit Luan Ying's sword. However, Luan Ying's body seemed to be weightless. He could appear wherever he wanted. Shua! In the next moment, Luan Ying's body appeared behind Sky Hammer and stabbed out with his sword. Sky Hammer used his huge hammer to block Luan Ying's attack. However, Luan Ying's movement technique was too fast. He constantly moved around Sky Hammer's body. His sword was like a poisonous snake, aiming for Sky Hammer's vital points every time. Shadow Domain. On the stage, Lu Ming's eyebrows slightly furrowed. Luan Ying had comprehended the Shadow Domain. He moved like a shadow and cultivated the assassination sword Dao. His perfect combination made him shockingly powerful. He could usually kill cultivators stronger than him in one hit. It was obvious that the opponent had arranged for Luan Ying to challenge Sky Hammer. Luan Ying could counter Sky Hammer and prevent him from using his brute force. Scram, scram, scram. Sky Hammer became more and more furious. He kept smashing his huge hammer, creating a terrifying gust of wind that swept in all directions. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light stabbed out from under Sky Hammer's feet. This sword came without any warning, and it was inconceivably fast. This sword was actually thrust out from the Heavenly Hammer's own shadow. This exceeded everyone's expectations. Not good. Han Zun and Xuening Xin exclaimed in shock. Roar! Tian Chue seemed to have also sensed the terrifying danger. With a roar, the muscles on his body squirmed and a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his skin. At the same time, Tian Chue retreated rapidly to avoid the sword. Puff! The sword light continued to sweep across Tian Chue's leg. The dragon scales were cut open, revealing a deep wound. If Tian Chue had not reacted in time, one of his legs would have been chopped off. Whoosh! However, at this moment, under Tian Chue's feet, another sword light pierced towards Tian Chue from his own shadow. What a strange attack! Kill! Sky Hammer roared as the massive hammer in his hand smashed down heavily on his own shadow. Boom! The giant hammer directly smashed the sword light and smashed heavily on the shadow of the battle platform. The entire fighting ring shook violently. Not far away, Luan Ying's body trembled and he took a few steps back. It seemed that Sky Hammer's attack had hurt him. Whoosh! Next, Luan Ying's body flashed and disappeared. At this time, 8 more shadows appeared around the hammer. Every time the shadows appeared, a sword light would shoot out towards the hammer. Tian Chue used his massive hammer to block the enemy's attack. However, the attacks from all directions were too fast for Tian Chue to block all of them. Puff! Puff! After a while, a few wounds appeared on Tian Chue's body. They were so deep that his bones could be seen. Haha, senior brother Luan Ying is going to win, a disciple from the Celestial God sect sneered. On the other hand, everyone from Dragon God Valley was watching carefully with a dark face. Barbaric Dragon Strike. Suddenly, Tian Chue roared. He grabbed the handle of his massive hammer with both hands and swung it. His entire body spun rapidly. The handle of Tian Chue's hammer was extremely long. When he swung it, it was like a hurricane sweeping in all directions. Bam! 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 The 8 shadows could not dodge at all. When they were swept by the hammer, they all collapsed. The 8 shadows collapsed and reformed into a single shadow. It was Luan Ying's shadow. At this moment, the black robe on Luan Ying's head was destroyed, revealing a dark and gloomy face. A trace of blood could be seen at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he was also injured by Tian Chue's attack. Shadow Sword, kill. A low voice came from Luan Ying's mouth. His body slowly became blurry and turned into a shadow. In the end, the shadow also disappeared. Luan Ying seemed to have completely disappeared from the fighting stage. Even his aura could not be sensed. A shadow-type spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Whoosh! At this moment, a sword light pierced towards Tian Chue from the top of his head. Tian Chue swung his hammer upwards. However, at the same time, a sword light pierced towards Tian Chue's feet, left and right. Tian Chue roared angrily and quickly retreated to avoid the sword light. However, a sword light still left a sword wound on Tian Chue's body. Around the heavenly hammer, sword light constantly appeared, soundless and without any signs. Barbaric dragon strike. Tian Chue roared and used the same move again. He swung his giant hammer and spun it wildly. However, this time, the sword light did not disperse. Instead, it pierced through Tian Chue's attack and continued to stab towards him. Puff, puff. A few more wounds appeared on Tian Chue's body. What's going on? Why can't we attack him? Some disciples of the Dragon God Valley asked anxiously. Tian Chue's attack was too strange. Tian Chue's attack could not hit him. It's not that he can't hit him. It's just that he can turn into a shadow, which can greatly reduce the damage done to him. Tian Chue's attack was weakened when it landed on his body. At the same time, he's too fast. Most of the attacks were dodged by him, a genius of the rank 9 Martial King realm explained on the spectator stand. Roar. Tian Chue let out a dragon roar. He took a step forward and rushed to the side of the fighting stage. It seemed that he was going to rush down the fighting stage. If you want to rush to the fighting stage, stay here. Luan Ying's cold voice came from the sky. Tian Chue pretended not to hear it and continued to rush forward. Whoosh. A terrifying sword light pierced towards Tian Chue from behind. Tian Chue, who was rushing forward, suddenly stopped and turned around. Poochie. The sword light pierced through Tian Chue's chest. Blood splattered everywhere. Die. A cold voice sounded. Luan Ying's figure appeared in front of Tian Chue. Roar. At this moment, Tian Chue let out a dragon roar. A giant barbaric dragon shadow appeared on his body. The barbaric dragon shadow clawed at Luan Ying. Oh no. Chapter 1538. Bam! The barbaric dragon clawed at Luan Ying's body. Luan Ying groaned as he was sent flying, spitting out blood. Kill! Tian Chue roared as he hurled the huge hammer in his hand. Like a meteor, it smashed into Luan Ying, who was in the air. Luan Ying screamed as his body was sent flying. The giant hammer carried Luan Ying out of the stage and landed heavily on the ground. Luan Ying spat out blood, his face as pale as paper. Luan Ying lost because Tian Chue was still on the stage. Whoosh! The giant hammer flew back to the stage and landed in Tian Chue's hand. Puff! Tian Chue's body shook as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he had defeated Luan Ying, he was heavily injured as well. Senior brother Tian Chue, come up and treat your injuries. Lu Ming shouted. Tian Chue channeled his true yuan and rushed up to the stage. He sat down cross-legged and started to treat his injuries. Just now, he had been injured by Luan Ying's sword multiple times. In the end, the sword had pierced through his heart. The terrifying destruction sword Qi was constantly destroying Tian Chue's spiritual body. Tian Chue had to destroy the destruction sword Qi first before he could heal. Damn it! The leader of the Heavenly God sect shouted angrily on the stage. Originally, he thought that with Luan Ying's strength and the fact that he could counter Tian Chue, he would be able to defeat Tian Chue. Although he might not be able to kill Tian Chue, defeating him shouldn't be a problem. He didn't think that Tian Chue would defeat Luan Ying in a way where both sides were injured. His plan was foiled. As a result, 2 of the 3 top experts of the Heavenly God sect had been defeated. Only the leader was left. This made the faces of the Heavenly God sect very ugly. The Heavenly Divinity sect had already announced that they would also take first place in the Treasure Ding Ding Party and achieve 3 consecutive championships. But now, there was only 1 top expert left, the leader. The other 6th level experts had almost all been killed, so there was no chance for them to take first place. This was all because of the Dragon God Valley. They wanted to deal with the Dragon God Valley, but in the end, they got themselves into trouble. Before the competition started, the Heavenly God sect probably didn't expect this. I'll leave the rest to you guys. The leader of the Heavenly God sect looked at the Sky Demon sect. Whoosh! A figure rushed out from the Sky Universe Demon sect, carrying a demon saber on his back. It's Mo Xian. Someone recognized this person. There were 2 geniuses from the Sky Universe Demon sect who had reached the peak of the 6th layer martial royal realm with a superior earth spiritual body. One of them was Mo, and the other was Mo Xian. Mosyan looked at Xuanxin and said, "I challenge you." Many people were shocked. Indeed, the Celestial Sect, the Empyrean Demon Sect and the Poison Sect had sent out their strongest forces to deal with the Dragon God Valley. Xuanxin stepped onto the fighting ring. Kill. The demonic saber was unsheathed, and demonic energy soared to the sky. Roar. Xuanxin revealed her true form and turned into a snow dragon. The two sides clashed fiercely. This battle was different from the one between Sky Hammer and Luan Ying. This battle was a head-on clash, and it was exceptionally fierce. Xuanxin was a pure-blooded true dragon, and she was considered a genius even among true dragons. Her dragon body was as strong as a superior earth spiritual body, and she was evenly matched with Mosyan. The two sides exchanged more than 200 blows, and in the end, Xuanxin won by a little and knocked Mosyan off the fighting ring. However, Xuanxin was severely injured, and her injuries were even worse than Skyhammer's. Xuanxin dragged her injured body back to the fighting ring and began to heal. The Dragon God Valley had won another battle, defeating a top expert from the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Could it be that the Dragon God Valley was going to be the last one? Some people had such thoughts. The challenges continued, and soon, it was the Poison Sect's turn. Whoosh! Wu Qianju of the Poison Sect stood up and stepped onto the fighting ring. The Poison Sect also had two top experts. Wu Qianju was the leader of the Poison Sect, and he was going to fight personally this time. Wu Qianju's gaze shifted between Han Zun and Lu Ming. According to the rules, Sky Hammer and Xuanxin had just fought, so they couldn't challenge them now. Only by challenging Lu Ming and Han Zun could they challenge Sky Hammer and Xuanxin. In the end, Wu Qianju's gaze landed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you managed to escape with your sacred weapon the last time. Now, come down and accept your death. Wu Qianju said coldly. Last time, Lu Ming had used his black wings to create a gust of wind that rendered his poison gas useless. Now that he couldn't use his sacred weapon, he wanted to see how Lu Ming would defend against his poison gas. Another one who wants to die. Lu Ming smiled indifferently. He took a step forward and landed on the fighting ring. Wang. As soon as Lu Ming's feet landed, Wu Qianju took action. Densely packed poisonous insects swarmed toward Lu Ming, covering the sky and the sun like a mass of dark clouds. Wang. Lu Ming's chaotic domain spread out and shrouded the endless poisonous insects. Fire. Lu Ming whispered and the chaotic domain turned into a flame domain. The flames engulfed the insects, and sizzling sounds could be heard as the insects were burned to ashes. But at this time, Wu Qianju waved his hand and toads appeared. Each toad was covered in pustules and emitted a foul smell. They pounced toward Lu Ming. In the air, the toads spat out poisonous water that enveloped Lu Ming. When the poisonous water landed on the chaotic domain, it actually emitted a sizzling sound of corrosion. Kill. At the same time, Wu Qianju charged toward Lu Ming. A soft whip appeared in his hand. The whip was covered with poisonous thorns and it swept toward Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming used the hell-suppressing heaven skill and punched out continuously, bombarding the toads and soft whips. However, when Lu Ming's fist force bombarded those toads, they actually self-exploded and turned into a pool of thick water that gushed toward Lu Ming, emitting a disgusting stench. Once he smelled this stench, Lu Ming felt slightly dizzy. Circulating his true yuan, he regained consciousness. What a terrifying poison, Lu Ming thought. Shua. Shua. Poisonous insects kept gushing out of Wu Qianju's body. Next, there were toads and poisonous snakes that attacked Lu Ming. As for himself, he controlled the soft whip and was extremely agile as he whipped Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming suddenly shouted and used the divine sword art. Two black sword lights burst out from Lu Ming's eyes and rushed toward Wu Qianju. But at this time, a layer of poisonous insects appeared on the surface of Wu Qianju's body, forming a shield. The divine sword art attacked the poisonous insects and killed a large number of them, but Wu Qianju was unharmed. Soul attacks can ignore ordinary defenses and attack the soul. However, these insects of mine have spirits. With spirits, your soul attacks won't be able to penetrate them. Last time, you used it once. This time, I'm prepared. Hee hee. Wu Qianju sneered. It seems that soul attacks are not omnipotent. There are still weaknesses. Chapter 1539. Soul attacks were something that ordinary defenses would not be able to defend against, and they would be able to pierce right through. When facing the evil spirit sect's elder Mo Hun, Lu Ming's primal chaos domain and Bubble's spacetime domain could only weaken a portion of the attack. One could imagine that normal defenses would be useless. However, soul attacks also had their weaknesses. If a living being stood in front of them, the soul attack would not be able to pass through. For example, Wu Qianju had used poisonous insects to block in front of him. Although the poisonous insects were small, they were still sentient and had souls. Soul attacks would attack the poisonous insects, and Wu Qianju, who was behind the poisonous insects, was naturally unharmed. He dared to challenge Lu Ming because he had a foolproof plan. However, Lu Ming's expression was still calm. If soul attacks were useless, would Lu Ming not be able to deal with Wu Qianju? Whoosh! Lu Ming covered his body with the primal chaos domain and soared into the sky. Boom! 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 Following which, Lu Ming looked down from a high vantage point and threw continuous punches with his fists. Streaks of terrifying fist energy shot out like meteors towards Wu Qianju, the poisonous insects, and the poisonous snakes. A large number of poisonous insects and toads were killed. The battle stage was littered with the corpses of insects, toads, and snakes. Pools of venom covered the battle stage, emitting a disgusting stench. Wisps of poisonous gas filled the battle stage. Haha, Lu Ming, thank you for your cooperation. The poison array has been set up. Now, you can die. On the battle stage, Wu Qianju smiled coldly. Green poisonous gas spread out from his body and merged with the poisonous gas on the battle stage. The entire battle stage was shrouded in poisonous gas. 1,000 poison hands, Wu Qianju said coldly. The poisonous gas rolled and turned into poisonous palms that shot toward Lu Ming in the sky. Lu Ming used the wind origin technique to avoid the poisonous palms. In that case, I'll kill you first. In Lu Ming's hand, a Spirit King spear appeared. He became one with the spear and dived down, charging into the poison gas array and attacking Wu Qianju. You can't kill me. Wu Qianju let out a cold laugh. With a bang, his body exploded and turned into clouds of poisonous gas, which merged with the poisonous gas of the formation. Lu Ming's long spear swept out horizontally, the poisonous gas tumbling endlessly. Kill! Lu Ming roared, and a formless soul attack erupted. However, there were countless poisonous insects flying within the poisonous gas. Lu Ming shouted, and a group of poisonous insects fell to the ground. Hehe, Lu Ming, you can't hurt me at all. You can only passively let me kill you. Wu Qianju's proud voice rang out. The poison gas array churned, constantly surging towards Lu Ming. The terrifying poison gas enveloped Lu Ming, as if it wanted to corrode the primal chaos domain and then turn Lu Ming to ashes. Moreover, the poison gas would condense into attacks and attack Lu Ming. The long spear vibrated, destroying the attacks one by one. Lu Ming, rush down the fighting stage yourself, or be killed by me. Wu Qianju's cold voice rang out. You think too highly of yourself, Lu Ming said indifferently. If Lu Ming wanted to kill Wu Qianju, he could do it now. He just needed to cast the chaotic flipping sky seal. The terrifying power of the chaotic flipping sky seal could directly cover the entire fighting ring. He could easily destroy this array and even kill Wu Qianju. However, now was not the time to use the primal chaos flipping sky seal. Lu Ming wanted to save the primal chaos flipping sky seal to deal with the leader of the celestial god sect, or Mo He. If he did not use the primal chaos flipping sky seal, he would have to use other methods. Buzz! Lu Ming's primal chaos domain suddenly spread out, enveloping the entire fighting stage. Then, endless lightning appeared and filled the fighting stage, followed by flames. The entire fighting stage was enveloped by the power of lightning and fire. Kai Kai, poisonous insects were burned to death one by one. Kill! Kill! Lu Ming continued to roar as he used the divine sword art, forming invisible waves that rushed out in all directions. A large number of poisonous insects were killed and turned into ashes in the lightning and fire. I don't believe that your soul power can keep on erupting. Wu Qianju's voice rang out. There was a limit to a person's spiritual strength. Constantly using it would consume a lot of spiritual strength. However, after a while, Wu Qianju became nervous. Lu Ming still did not stop. His soul attack continued to erupt, killing almost all of the poisonous insects. Kill! Lu Ming roared as the poisonous gas churned and Wu Qianju's screams rang out. A cloud of mist gathered and churned, as if it was about to condense into a human form. Devour! Lu Ming took a step forward and pressed his left palm in the air. The devouring power erupted and enveloped the poisonous gas. Wisps of poisonous gas were devoured and refined by Lu Ming. The poisonous gas was terrifying. However, Lu Ming's spiritual body had reached the superior earth spiritual body. Moreover, Lu Ming's spiritual body contained traces of primal chaos qi, which was stronger than an ordinary superior earth spiritual body. Hence, he was not afraid of the poisonous gas. Roar! Lu Ming's body faintly rang out with a dragon's roar. Wu Qianju's poisonous gas was being refined continuously. How can this be? My spiritual body is invincible. How can you refine it? Wu Qianju's terrified screams rang out from the poisonous gas as he desperately resisted. Kill! Lu Ming roared as 2 rays of sword light shot out from his eyes and pierced into the poisonous gas. Wu Qianju screamed and his resistance weakened instantly. Lu Ming continued to erupt with his devouring power, devouring and refining Wu Qianju's poisonous gas. As Wu Qianju screamed, the poisonous gas became smaller and smaller. He wanted to reform his body, but Lu Ming directly attacked. With a punch, he turned back into poisonous gas and was devoured by Lu Ming. Soon, Wu Qianju's poisonous gas was reduced by more than half. Spare me, spare me. Wu Qianju was finally afraid and began to beg for mercy. This feeling of watching himself being refined made him extremely terrified. Moreover, he did not want to die. He had a great future. With his talent, he was very confident that he could break through to the Saint Realm in the future. A Saint Realm expert had a lifespan of more than 100,000 years. How free and unfettered was that? The people from the 13 sects were shocked. Wu Qianju was actually forced to this step by Lu Ming. In the eyes of these geniuses, Wu Qianju was definitely a terrifying existence. His 1,000-bathing poison body and his poisonous body made everyone wary. Even those geniuses who were at the same level as him were extremely wary of him. But now, he was begging for mercy in front of Lu Ming. Spare you. Previously, you sent people from the Desire Poison sect to kill my disciples. Why didn't you spare them? Why didn't you think about the current situation? Lu Ming said coldly as his devouring power continued to devour Wu Qianju. Wu Qianju screamed as his poisonous gas churned. Before the battle with Lu Ming, how could he have thought of such an outcome? All he thought about was how to kill Lu Ming. Chapter 1540. Young man, don't go overboard. Don't go overboard. At this moment, an old voice came from one of the pavilions. Judging from the direction of the voice, it should be the Saint State Elder of the Desire Poison sect. He, are you heartbroken? Why didn't you think about it when you killed my disciple? Lu Ming, you don't have to pay attention to this old man. The voice of the Saint State Elder of the Dragon God Valley came from the pavilion behind the Dragon God Valley. Young man, you should think about it. After all, you'll be traveling outside in the future. It's not good to go overboard. The Saint State Elder of the Desire Poison sect continued. Despicable. How dare you threaten my disciple? The Saint State Elder of the Dragon God Valley said. He. The Saint State Elder of the Desire Poison sect sneered. Kill. However, Lu Ming's response was only one word, kill. Lu Ming's eyes emitted 2 beams of sword gleams that pierced into the poisonous gas. Wu Qianju screamed miserably. The ball of poisonous gas completely collapsed and there was no sign of life left. Wu Qianju was dead. This was Lu Ming's response to the Saint State Elder of the Desire Poison sect. He was strong and merciless. At this moment, there was no sound from the pavilion behind the Desire Poison sect, but a cold murderous intent filled the air. Of course, the Saint State elders were not allowed to interfere in this situation. Otherwise, the other sects would gang up on them. Dead. Wu Qianju was dead. Most of the people present felt their hearts tremble. Another top-notch prodigy was killed by Lu Ming. In addition to Bai Mo, there were already 2 top-notch prodigies who had died in Lu Ming's hands. It was too tragic. In the past, very few top-earth spiritual bodies were killed. Even if there was a difference in combat power, it wouldn't be too big. It was possible to defeat them, but difficult to kill them. This time, it was only the 20th round, but 2 top prodigies had already died and several others were seriously injured. Because of Lu Ming, the small meeting this time was several times more tragic than the past. Lu Ming put away Wu Qianju's storage ring and returned to the platform. Then, someone went up to the fighting ring and cleaned it up. After all, the poisonous insects and snakes that Wu Qianju had released earlier were all poisonous substances on the battle stage. On the platform of the Celestial God sect, the leader of the Celestial God sect looked at Tian Chui and Xuening Xin coldly. This guy wants to challenge Tian Chui and Xuening Xin in the next round, Lu Ming said. Right now, Tian Chui and Xuening Xin were both heavily injured. If the leader of the Sky God sect challenged them, it would be very dangerous. The leader of the Sky God sect obviously wanted to seize the opportunity to kill Tian Chui or Xuening Xin. I won't let him succeed. Han Zun spoke, his killing intent cold. After cleaning up, the competition continued. Perhaps the atmosphere had been stirred up, but when it was the turn of the other sects, the atmosphere became even more intense. The other sects that had enmity with each other also began to send out their top experts to challenge the top experts of their enemy sects. After the battle between Lu Ming and Wu Qianju, there were 2 more clashes between the top experts. In the end, the top geniuses of the intentionless Saber sect and the Demon Castle both suffered heavy injuries and fell off the fighting ring. On the other hand, the top expert of the Linglong Palace defeated his opponent and won despite being heavily injured. Soon, it was the Divine Dragon Valley's turn. Han Zun stood up and stepped out onto the fighting ring. Yu Sheng, come down, Han Zun said coldly. Yu Sheng was the name of the leader of the Sky God sect. Everyone was shocked. Han Zun was challenging Yu Sheng. The leaders of the 2 sects were about to clash. Yu Sheng's eyes turned cold. His original plan was to wait until the next round, when it was the Sky God sect's turn to challenge, and then he would personally kill Tian Chui or Xuening Xin. Obviously, Han Zun had seen through his plan and challenged him directly. Yu Sheng stepped out and landed on the fighting ring. It's the same if I kill you first, Yu Sheng said coldly. His body erupted with dazzling holy light. His entire person was bathed in the holy light, and there was no speck of dust. Yu Sheng was a direct descendant of the Sky God sect, and he cultivated the Sky God sect's techniques. Shameless boasting. Han Zun sneered, and a terrifying cold air burst out from his body. The cold air spread in all directions, and half of the fighting ring was covered in white frost. Boom! Boom! Yu Sheng and Han Zun charged at each other at the same time, and a fierce battle broke out. The 2 figures clashed continuously on the fighting ring, and their speed became faster and faster. Some of the weaker cultivators could no longer see the 2 figures clearly. They could only see the endless sacred light and the terrifying cold air on the fighting ring, forming a pillar of qi that shot up into the sky. Whoosh! Yu Sheng was bathed in the sacred light, and he held the god's punishment spear in his hand. He was like a god descending to punish the world. White dragon scales appeared on Han Zun's body, and his body was covered in a layer of ice armor. His arms turned into dragon claws, and they were terrifying. Clang! Clang! The dragon claws and the god's punishment spear clashed fiercely. Poochie! Han Zun's shoulder was pierced by the god's punishment spear, but Han Zun's other dragon claw clawed at Yu Sheng's chest, almost tearing his heart out. The 2 of them were injured at the same time, and their clothes were stained with blood. But the battle continued. To be honest, Han Zun and Yu Sheng's combat strength was terrifying, and they were even stronger than Bai Mo's. It could be said that in the future, they were very likely to be ranked among the top 10 geniuses of the Kang state. After all, the top 10 geniuses were chosen by the younger generation below the Saint Realm. Once this year's top 10 geniuses broke into the Saint Realm, they would automatically be removed from the top 10 geniuses, and new geniuses would replace them. It could be said that these two geniuses of the future were fighting in advance. This battle went on for more than 300 moves, and their genuine essence and physical strength were gradually exhausted. In the end, it became a hand-to-hand fight. The two of them tangled together, and blood stained the fighting ring. Bang! In the end, the two of them rolled off the fighting ring at the same time, and the battle ended. Lu Ming moved and appeared beside Han Zun. His genuine essence flowed into Han Zun's body, and he said, "Senior brother Han Zun, are you okay?" "Don't worry, I'm fine. That guy is worse." Han Zun smiled. "Humph." Yu Sheng snorted, and with the help of the disciples of the Celestial God sect, he landed on the spectator stand, took a healing pill, and began to heal. Lu Ming helped Han Zun to the spectator stand behind the fighting ring, and then returned to the fighting ring. In this way, there were only 3 people left in the Dragon God Valley. However, the people of the Celestial God sect all looked gloomy. After Yu Sheng's withdrawal, the Celestial God sect no longer had any top experts, and it was a joke to get first place. The battle continued, and soon, this round was over, and the 22nd round began. In this round, the remaining disciples of the Celestial God sect had lost their morale, and they randomly sent out one person to challenge the other sects. After that, it was the turn of the Sky Universe Demon sect. "Let me." Mo He from the Sky Universe Demon sect stepped out with a demonic blade on his back. He landed on the fighting ring and looked directly at the Dragon God Valley. He glanced at Tian Chui and Xuening Xin. Chapter 1541. Mo He obviously wanted to challenge Tian Chui and Xuening Xin. In the end, Mo He's eyes fell on Xuening Xin and said coldly, "Come out. Fight." Xuening Xin said and stepped forward. "Senior sister, be careful," Lu Ming said. Xuening Xin nodded and stepped onto the battle stage. "I'll kill you in this battle." Mo He's demonic aura surged as the demonic saber on his back unsheathed and slashed toward Xuening Xin. Roar! Xuening Xin roared and turned into her true form. She opened her mouth and spat out a stream of icy air toward the saber. Boom! An intense collision occurred, and Xuening Xin's slender body trembled as she retreated. Xuening Xin had been severely injured in the previous battle, and it was impossible for her to recover in such a short time. She was at a disadvantage from the start. Demonic Saber Division. The demonic saber in Mo He's hand merged with his domain and slashed out again. The demonic saber division was the ultimate technique of the Sky Universe demonic sect. It was said to be able to split everything with a single slash. Snowflakes appeared around Xuening Xin and flew toward the demonic splitting saber with a whistling sound. But when the snowflakes came into contact with the demonic saber division, they seemed to be affected by a terrifying vibration and exploded. Clang! 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 The snowflakes collided with the demonic saber, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. The snowflakes collapsed, but the power of the demonic saber was also rapidly weakening. Slash! Mo He's demonic aura surged as he slashed out again. Then, he slashed out again. One slash after another, and each slash was extremely terrifying. It was as if they were going to split the sky. Xuening Xin's dragon claws stepped on the air and pounced toward Mo He. Boom! Boom! Terrifying explosions were constantly heard as the two of them exchanged more than 10 blows. Gradually, Xuening Xin was losing. Her injuries were acting up, and she couldn't use her full strength. Poochie! Dragon scales were cut and fell everywhere. Deep and long wounds appeared on Xuening Xin's body, and blood dyed her snow-white body red. Die! Mo He's devil saber pierced through Xuening Xin's attack and slashed at her head, trying to decapitate her. Xuening Xin retreated quickly, but it was still too late. A wound was left between her eyebrows. Xuening Xin was already heavily injured, and now that she was injured, her battle prowess was getting weaker and weaker. She was no match for Mo He. "Senior sister, get off the battle stage." Lu Ming said to Xuaningxin telepathically. If this went on, Xuaningxin would be in danger. Roar! Xuaningxin shouted. She was unwilling to give up. After exchanging another blow with Mo He, she turned around and left. You want to leave? Stay. Mo He's demonic chi became even more terrifying. She soared into the sky and slashed out with her demonic saber. 8 saber lights slashed down, blocking Xuaningxin's path. Xuaningxin's dragon claws stomped on the ground, and the ground was instantly covered in a layer of ice. Ice swords rushed out and rushed towards the demonic sabers. Bang! Bang! Unfortunately, Xuaningxin's battle prowess was too weak to break through the demonic sabers. Instead, the demonic sabers left a deep wound on her body, almost cutting off one of her dragon claws. You can't escape. Demonic dragon seal. Mo He said coldly. His hands formed a seal, and a black demonic dragon roared and flew towards Xuaningxin. The 2 dragons, one black and one white, fought on the battle stage. Then, Mo He split the demonic saber and attacked Xuaningxin. After a few moves, Xuaningxin's injuries were even more severe. Break! In the end, Xuaningxin roared. Her true dragon body shrank rapidly, and a layer of ice covered her body, making her look like an ice sword. Whoosh! The ice sword kept colliding with Mo He's demonic saber. Finally, it rushed out of the range of the demonic saber and reached the edge of the battle stage. At this time, the ice covering Xuaningxin's body also collapsed. Xuaningxin's aura became even weaker. She stomped her dragon claws and rushed out of the battle stage. She let out a sigh of relief and quickly withdrew her aura. Die! Mo He roared and stood at the edge of the battle stage. His eyes were ferocious and filled with cold killing intent. He slashed his demonic saber at Xuaningxin's head. Xuaningxin's fall meant that the battle was over, so she completely let down her guard and withdrew her true yuan. She didn't expect Mo He to be so despicable and attack her again. Xuaningxin didn't have time to dodge this attack. You're courting death. On the platform, Lu Ming let out a roar and his true essence boiled. The black wings on his back suddenly extended. With a flap, he appeared next to Xuaningxin and flapped the demonic saber. Lu Ming, what are you doing? You interfered and used a saint weapon. You broke the rules. Seeing that his saber had been blocked by Lu Ming, there was a look of indignation in Mo He's eyes. Shut up. Who broke the rules? My senior sister has already rushed out of the battle stage and landed on the ground. She lost. This battle is over, but you still want to kill her. Are you the one who broke the rules, or am I the one who broke the rules? Lu Ming stared coldly at Mo He. If he hadn't been watching the battle stage and immediately used a saint weapon to rush out, Xuaningxin would have been in danger. Oh! Her foot landed on the ground. I didn't see it. Mo He quibbled. Lu Ming didn't say anything. He only stared at Mo He with cold killing intent. He had to kill this Mo He. Senior sister, let's go. Lu Ming helped Xuaningxin to the spectator stand. Junior brother, thank you for just now. Xuaningxin had returned to her human form, but her face was somewhat pale. Senior sister, there's no need to be so polite. I will kill Mo He to avenge you, Lu Ming said. I believe in junior brother. Xuaningxin smiled. She swallowed a healing elixir and began to recuperate while Lu Ming returned to the platform. The challenges continued. As expected, when it was the Desire Poison Sect's turn, an expert from the Desire Poison Sect challenged Tian Chui. Like the Sky Demon Sect, the Desire Poison Sect also had 2 top experts. Wu Qianju had been killed by Lu Ming, so there was only one left. The Desire Poison Sect hated Lu Ming to the core and wanted to kill Tian Chui to avenge Wu Qianju. However, Tian Chui's injuries were better than Xuaningxin's. Moreover, Tian Chui cultivated the barbarian dragon body, so his defense was strong. However, Tian Chui was injured and couldn't defeat his opponent. After exchanging more than 100 blows, he was knocked off the stage. With Tian Chui's defeat, only Lu Ming was left in the Dragon God Valley. Countless gazes landed on the platform of the Divine Dragon Valley and on Lu Ming alone. Chapter 1542. The challenges continued, and they were very intense. Now, the competition had entered the second half, and the weak had been eliminated. The remaining people were all very strong, and the battles were very intense. One battle after another, it was finally Dragon God Valley's turn. Lu Ming stepped out and landed on the fighting stage. "Mo He, come down and die." Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the area. As expected, Lu Ming is going to challenge Mo He. In many people's hearts, Mo He had violated the rules earlier and almost killed Xuening Xin. Many people guessed that Lu Ming would definitely challenge Mo He. Mo He carried the demonic saber on his back and stepped onto the fighting stage. "You've managed to escape the previous 2 times. Today, I'll finish you off." Mo He spoke. Even though Lu Ming had already killed 2 top-notch powerhouses, he was still very domineering. "Today, you won't have any chance. You will die without a doubt," Lu Ming said, and he was also very strong. Buzz. Buzz. The two stood facing each other, and their domains burst out at the same time, rushing toward each other. Boom. Their domains collided with each other, and there was a loud rumbling sound. They were fiercely fighting. Mo He's demonic Dao domain was at the peak of LV7, while Lu Ming's domain was only at the peak of LV4. However, Lu Ming's domain was not at a disadvantage at all. Their domains continued to clash and entangle with each other, stirring up a terrifying energy storm. "Kill, demonic saber division," Mo He shouted and unsheathed his demonic saber. A shocking saber light broke through the sky and slashed toward Lu Ming. A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he used the 13th strike. A spear light burst out and collided with the demonic saber. There were 13 forces in the spear light, and they exploded with a terrible penetrating power. However, there was a terrible splitting power in the demonic saber that was rapidly splitting the spear light's power. In the end, the 2 forces dissipated. Lu Ming's eyes moved slightly. The demonic saber of the Sky Universe Demon Sect was indeed worthy of its reputation. Whoosh. Whoosh. Then, the 2 of them rushed forward and collided with each other like 2 bolts of lightning. The demonic saber and the long spear collided with each other, emitting a terrifying roar. Every time the 2 of them collided, a terrifying shockwave would erupt. The shockwave was rampant and swept out in all directions. Around the fighting stage, there was a transparent light screen that blocked the overflowing qi. Otherwise, some of the weaker people in the spectator stands would have been injured. "Kill." After exchanging several moves, Lu Ming roared. 2 divine swords shot out of his eyes, shooting toward Mo He. Lu Ming used the divine sword art, and 2 pitch-black swords entered Mo He's body and attacked his spiritual divinity. However, Mo's body only trembled slightly, and he was fine. A spiritual god defensive treasure. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your soul attack is useless against me," Mo He sneered. His demonic saber swept out, taking advantage of this opportunity to attack Lu Ming. Wang. Lu Ming's long spear shook, blocking the Devil Blade's attack. Then, the 2 of them clashed again, exchanging dozens of moves. In truth, Mo He was indeed very strong. He was even stronger than Bai Mo and Wu Qianju, who Lu Ming had just killed. He should be comparable to Han Zun, the leader of the Celestial God Sect. Lu Ming's spiritual body and primal chaos domain gave him a slight advantage. However, Mo He's cultivation was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. The 2 of them fought fiercely, and it was difficult to determine a victor. Third bloodline. With a thought, Lu Ming's 3rd bloodline appeared. A strand of energy entered Lu Ming's body, increasing Lu Ming's combat strength. Clang. Lu Ming's long spear swept out, and Mo He's body trembled. He was forced back a long distance along the fighting stage. Divine Gate, 9 seals. Lu Ming's hands quickly formed seals, and 6 sealing gates appeared around Mo He, wanting to seal him. Demon God descends. Mo He roared. Demonic qi surged, and a huge demon god with 3 heads and 6 arms condensed around him. It exuded a vast demonic aura. This was a secret technique, or rather, it was a secret technique brought by Mo He's spiritual body. It was very similar to Bai Mo's sword array. They were both secret techniques brought by spiritual bodies. Boom. The three-headed, six-armed demon god blasted out 6 palms, bombarding the 6 sealing gates. Boom. Boom. The 6 sealed doors trembled and directly exploded. At this time, Lu Ming's attack had arrived. The long spear smashed towards Mo He like a mountain. Boom. Boom. The three-headed, six-armed demon god's 6 giant palms bombarded Lu Ming. 2 of them blocked Lu Ming's long spear, while the other 4 palms pressed down on Lu Ming like 4 mountains. Lu Ming's long spear shook, turning into layers of spear shadows, and blasted out. The long spear collided with the demon palms. In the violent explosion, Lu Ming and Mo He's bodies were both pushed back. This brat, how long has it been? He has such combat strength. He must be eliminated. Mo He was shocked. Back when he led people to hunt down Lu Ming did not have much strength to resist in front of him. But now, Lu Ming could fight him head-on, and it was difficult to tell who would win. In a while, what realm would Lu Ming reach? Wouldn't he surpass him in all aspects? Thinking of this, he felt a chill in his heart. He and Lu Ming were already mortal enemies. If they met in the future, they would definitely fight fiercely. One of them had to die. But in a while, he was afraid that if he met Lu Ming again, he would be the one to die. Therefore, he had to kill Lu Ming now. Kill. Kill. Mo He roared. His demonic chi seemed to burn, and the huge demonic god seemed to become corporeal. Shockingly, 6 huge demonic sabers appeared on the demonic god's 6 arms. Boom. Boom. Mo He took a step forward and charged at Lu Ming. The huge demonic god brandished its demonic sabers and charged at Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming shouted. The power of his 3rd bloodline continuously poured into Lu Ming's body, causing Lu Ming's killing intent to become even stronger. At the same time, devouring power burst out and enveloped Mo He, causing his demonic chi to become unstable. The demonic god's aura also weakened. Lu Ming took a step forward and soared into the sky. His long spear turned into a 1,000-meter-long spearlight that smashed toward Mo He. Mo He's eyes were ferocious. He also used all his strength. The huge demonic god and the 6 demonic sabers continuously slashed at Lu Ming. The two collided fiercely. Spear light and saber light soared into the sky. Everyone, whether they were on the platform or in the spectator stands, held their breaths and stared at the fighting ring. They were afraid that they would miss the exciting scene. What strong combat strength! He can unleash such terrifying combat strength when he's below the 7th martial royal realm. I'm afraid that even the 8th martial royal realm would be killed by him. A genius above the 7th martial royal realm said with a serious look. They're all peerless geniuses. In the future, they have great hopes of becoming the top 10 monstrous geniuses of the Kang Prefecture. That's right. I wonder who will win this battle. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,